he used method acting and decided to have, I think it was 2 of his teeth knocked out. 2 of his teeth knocked out with no anesthesia. Welcome back to another episode of Chatty Chit Chats with your girl Chatty, the most chattiest bag that you'll ever meet. Okay, I'm so excited to be back with another episode, and as you can see, a lot has changed. Like I said before, I don't know if I said before, but I think I said something like I didn't really care about upgrading the podcast as much as I cared about getting my voice out and getting to share these opinions, these thoughts, getting to give out advice, and getting to do what we love doing. And quickly after that, I changed my mind and wanted to evolve the podcast and just the way it looks. And here we are. Okay, here we are. So I am changing the setup. So over time, you'll see things evolve with the podcast. It's not perfect. I'm not perfect. And I think it's important for me to share this part of the growth of the podcast. I'm just really excited to be able to show how the podcast is going to evolve over time and let you guys be a part of that. And as you can see, the picture is not even straight. Like, there's a lot of things that have to change here. And bear with me, guys. I'm self-funded, okay? Self-funded podcast here. And I'm just doing the best that I can, but we are slowly upgrading it and making little changes, and I'm super excited for that. Today, we're going to be talking about some things, and I'm really excited. We're going to talk really a lot about wellness. I know y'all saw the title. This is a solo episode, so I will be here by myself. And something that I wanted to let you guys know is with the growth of the podcast comes guests. I'm going to be bringing back guests. I have some guests that were here on the last season that will be coming to join us in these conversations this season. I'm so excited. I'm also going to have some new guests that you've never seen and give everybody a chance to kind of share their opinion, their thoughts, their voice, and their advice on these questions and these topics. So today we're going to be talking about wellness. We're going to get deep into wellness. This is my note card for now. Like I said, we're evolving, so you'll see things change, but for now we'll be using my phone to read off my notes. So let's get right into this topic. And I'm basically today turning the mic on myself and getting into some wellness questions and answering them for myself. You know, we always answer questions on this podcast to help out others. And I feel like it's important for me to share some things about myself as well here. So we're going to do that today. Okay. So we're going to talk about healing habits and really just like the messy truths of self-care. Like, self-care is not always fun. Self-care is not always easy. Self-care, as much as we talk about how it should be relaxation, it should be rest, it should be prioritizing yourself, a lot of self-care comes with like advocating for yourself. It comes with being able to stand up for yourself and say no, being able to set those boundaries in place. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. And first I'm going to get into some self-interview questions so I can kind of just dive more into my version of self-care and wellness and what that means for my well-being and just where I'm at, because it looks different for everybody. So the first question on here is, what's one wellness practice that changed my life for real? So a wellness practice that changed my life for real, I would say scheduling things. I know that sounds like, I mean, it is a wellness practice, right? Organizing things, scheduling things in order to have a better mental health and to better get through your day, your week, your month, your year. I think it's really important. And for me, I used to kind of just wing it and do my day. Like, whatever comes up, I would handle it. Whatever was due, I would do it. But instead of like doing that, I decided to get a calendar and to really organize out my day and organize my thoughts and organize all the ideas and things that I have. Because one thing about me, I have so many thoughts. I have so much things going on up here. I have so many ideas, so many things. And so for me, doing that, it really changed my life for real. Like, I'm literally so much more organized. I get things done and I still have time for self-care for myself, which outside of scheduling for me looks like tapping into my ratchet reality shows. Okay. We're going to talk about that in another episode coming soon. But I love to kind of use escapism as a way to escape kind of what I have going on. And another thing for me is definitely my skincare routine and taking that time after I put my kids to bed to make sure I have that hour to myself, to take my shower, to do all my skincare routines, and to just listen to music while I'm vibing in the bathroom with my candles and low lights. And it's just me. And I live for those moments every single night, and I make it a priority to set that time for myself. So yeah, those things have changed my life for sure, as far as wellness. what's the hardest habit that I keep falling off with? Okay, so I think for me, I'm going to be real about this. The hardest habit that I think I struggle with is sleeping on time. I don't sleep on time. I don't sleep early. I am definitely a night owl. I be up watching them shows. Outside of reality shows, I love watching like just like series and different like crime shows and things like that. And I overindulge. I'm also a scroller. I be up all night scrolling on that phone and writing out ideas that come up in my mind. I think one thing that I should, and I always tell like my clients, a lot of things that I preach, I don't practice. And that's just real. I'm going to be honest on this podcast. There's no filters here. We're not doing that. We're going to be real on this podcast. And I think for me, in order to set the tone, especially if I want my guests to come on and share real things, I have to be real. So I think for me, it's definitely starting to follow the things that I practice. That's a bad habit that I have. But also just like putting my phone away from my bed in another room, okay, and getting like a regular alarm so that I cannot actually scroll, because I know my lazy ass is not getting out the bed. So that's something that I should probably break. And that's definitely a habit that it holds me back, because I wake up way more tired. I have to get up early every morning regardless. At 7 a.m. we're up, and I end up feeling groggy and things like that. And I don't really want to, keep doing that. So we're going to change that. We're going to try. Let me know in the comments what you guys feel like your habit that you're falling off with. Let me know that in the comments. Like, what does that habit look like? Also, for me, I don't work out. And I think that's something I really want to tap into. I really want to get into fitness and like use that as a part of like my mental health. Like for me, I love walking, and I used to walk a lot. Like every day I'd walk for 2-3 hours. And now I haven't walked. Like since I've had my kids, my boys will be 7 now, and I haven't gone walking like consistently in a really long time. And that's something that I want to get back into, is like more fitness and physical health and eating healthy habits, things like that. I got a lot to work on, Chad. I got a lot to work on. But I realized that wellness isn't just bubble baths, but it's deeper than just bubble baths. I think for me, I realized that wellness was actually a thing. Like I've heard the term wellness, but I never really tapped into it, like what that meant for me and what that looked like overall. Just for me, I think it's when I went back to college, to school, and I took the social work course. I learned so much about some of the habits that I was doing and like what that meant. Like, for example, the fact that I would escape into watching reality TV or just TV itself, into movies, or I would escape into books. At the time, I loved to read books, like when I was younger, and what that was. And I didn't realize that was escapism. I didn't know that was the term for it. And I think a lot of people don't realize what these terms really mean, and we loosely use them and things like that, and just think, like what I said earlier, like for example, self-care is just only good stuff and bubbles and roses and just all goody stuff. No, self-care comes with a lot of tough work. There's a lot of healing that comes within wellness, and I didn't realize that before. I didn't know how much healing you get through wellness. I didn't realize that wellness was a practice. I didn't really understand the depths of that. And I think that's something that also taught me that like when I'm in my deepest, darkest places, I have that as a resource. A lot of people like tell me, especially when I go on my live streams on TikTok, join us at Chatty Mother, somewhere here on the screen. But I go live often and to do free advice. And a lot of the time I get those questions of, I don't have a lot of support around me. And when I'm going through something, I feel like I'm alone. I can't afford therapy, or I don't have anyone that I feel like I can talk to. And I think tapping into wellness and tapping into self-care is what would be your resource, okay? And I think more people need to take advantage of that and knowing what that really looks like, right? What does your self-care look like for you? What is your wellness? How often do you tap into that, right? And it will be easier for you to tap into your wellness and self-care routines or habits if you are already practicing those on a regular basis, right? So if you're the type of person that's waiting for something to happen for you to include wellness or self-care, it's going to be harder to include it at that time because your brain hasn't really registered that, right? I've talked about this before. I'll probably do an episode talking more about like what it looks like for your brain to accept a new habit and to kind of use method acting in order to do that. And really, it just to sum it up really quickly, it's just really, your brain takes a while in order to create a new habit. It takes between 12 and 120 days. And you can go fact check this to be sure. I don't know if it's changed, but that's how long it takes for your brain to capture a habit or a new routine, and for you to not feel like you're forcing yourself to do it. So for example, if you want to go be a runner and you want to start running, I guess we're talking about it now. But if you want to, so basically what method acting is if you want to, and the way to do it in the healthy way is you want to, for example, incorporate a healthy activity into your life. Like you want to become a more fitness girly or a more fitness guy, or you want to become a person that reads more books maybe, and you want to incorporate this into your daily routine, but you're struggling with that. You use method acting, and the positive way to use it is you are going to adopt the habit. You're going to force, it's going to feel like forcing, and I don't like to use the term force because I guess that's a scary term, but yeah, you're going to force your ass, okay? You're going to force yourself to do this habit every day. You're going to set a schedule. You're going to do it every day at the same time, right? If you're reading a book, every night you have that book by your pillow, and you're going to read a chapter, you're going to read a page, whatever it is for you, right? You're going to set that, and you're going to do it every day. Over time, within that 12 to 120 days, your brain is going to naturally have you do that, right? You're going to naturally want to go read your book because it's now become a natural part of your routine, right? So that's method acting. And I mean, we can talk about the juicy parts of method acting. I mean, that's probably was my favorite topic when I was on the radio years ago. I was obsessed with this topic, and that was probably the topic that I brought every single weekend to the radio, because I felt like it's so important for people to know like what actors are doing in order to get these roles. A lot of these actors are doing method acting, and they're using it in a negative way. Some, right? We're gonna not say all of them, but we know of cases where actors in Hollywood have used method acting in a negative way. And I guess I can share this with you guys as a way to share how not to use method acting, because it can get deep and dark, okay? So an example of method acting in Hollywood would be, I'll share two of them. So the first one is Jamie Foxx. In order to play Ray Charles in the movie Ray Charles, he had his eyes glued shut for 14 days. I believe it was 12 or 14 days. And in order to play the role. And he was so disoriented. He had so much mental health. Like, he was struggling with his mental health after that 12 days, and during the 12 days also. So I'm just going to say 12 days. I don't know if it was 14 days, but he was really struggling, basically. That's the point. He was struggling, and he did this just in order to get into the role so he could feel exactly how Ray Charles felt, so that he could play that role in the best way that he could. That's how far he went. Another more extreme example would be Tom Cruise. And you guys can fact check all the stuff that I tell you guys, okay? Because Chatty don't lie, okay? I found it somewhere online. But yeah. Tom Cruise did this for a movie. I don't know what the movie was called, but it was a war movie about like a World War something. And he played a war veteran. And in the real life story of the war veteran had a few of his teeth knocked out. In order for Tom Cruise to play this role, you know, in the best way, he used method acting and decided to have, I think it was 2 of his teeth knocked out. 2 of his teeth knocked out with no anesthesia, okay? No anesthesia. Like, how much do they pay these people for these roles? I think that's my question. It's like, how much are you supposed to sacrifice your mental health to do certain things? You know what I'm saying? And this applies in everything we're talking about today. Like, how much are you sacrificing yourself in order to do certain things, or sacrificing your wellness activities or your self-care, and just like putting it off and putting it off and putting it off until you're burnt out and you are just not yourself anymore, and you're so irritated and you just you're not able to get nothing done. You're not your best self, right? So I think method acting in that way for Hollywood is really scary. That's why, like, there's a lot of dark stuff going on in Hollywood, which we're going to tap into those dark things at some point on this podcast, because I'm obsessed with conspiracies. I love all that. Basically, that whole topic about method acting is just to say, tap into your wellness before it's too late. Tap into self-care. That access, that's a free resource. You have that access at all times. So tap into the free resources that you have. Figure out what that looks like. Self-care looks different for everyone. If you're tapping into self-care, something that you want to be your self-care or you think should be self-care for you, and you want to make sure that it's safe for you, you'll know based off of how you feel, right? Overindulgence is a thing as well. So, for example, I told you guys I love watching reality shows and all that stuff. Overindulging is where it becomes an issue. So having a balance is very, very important, because obviously you don't want to be taking in negativity and taking in things that are not appropriate or making you feel good if it's not making you feel good. Okay, so we're going to get into, I'm just going to share some things about wellness as outside of the benefit of just having it as a resource for when you're feeling like it should be a resource every day, but as a resource to tap into when you feel like you really need it, or feeling burnt out, you're feeling tired, you're feeling irritable, you're feeling whatever of those heavy feelings, right? The thing about wellness is that it regulates your nervous system, and self-care activities, right? It regulates your nervous system. So any activity that is having you feel calm is regulating your nervous system. Okay. So things like, I think things that could help for those who may not have, self-care routines, journaling, going for a run, to work out. A lot of people use fitness as a form of mental health, mental wellness. Things like breath work. Breath work is really helpful, right? Learning how to breathe, because learning how to breathe is really important. There's also like pressure points. Sometimes when I'm struggling with anxiety, which I have anxiety at times, a lot of us do, especially in this world, because there's so much going on. Like, I think most of us are struggling with anxiety. And when I'm struggling with it, something that works for me is the chest taps, some cold water on my face, things like that. So figure out what works for you. We talked earlier about self-care not always feeling good. And let's talk a little bit more about that. So self-care not always feeling good looks like maybe having to set that boundary. And for me, over the last maybe 5 to 7 years, I've learned more how to set those boundaries. I am naturally a people pleaser. I naturally want people to feel good. I want you to feel loved. And a lot of times I put myself on the back burner in order to put you in the front and make sure you're good. And I put people's feelings before myself, basically, is what I'm saying. And I started to learn through school, which is crazy. I'm not even trying to promote school that much. But school for me, going back to college for me, was a really, it caused a really big shift in my life and in my mindset. And I was able to learn more about how the fact that putting yourself first is self-care. And that I shouldn't feel guilty about that, because something for me is like, I just always want to make sure people are good first. And I still struggle with that today. But I am more able to now set boundaries. I'm able to say, no, that doesn't feel good for me, or no, I don't want to do that, or no, I don't like this. Right? I can actually say that, and I'm okay. And I wasn't able to do that before. And I think it's so important to be able to set those boundaries. Like if somebody's doing something you don't like, a lot of people are not able or comfortable saying, setting those boundaries and saying, oh, no. Mm-mm. Not today. And I think we have to get more comfortable doing that, because you're standing up for yourself, you're advocating for yourself, you're loving on yourself. Think about your younger self and this happening to your younger self, and you as the older self, like you mirroring, looking at yourself and wanting to protect yourself. And what would you do, right? Think about if this happened to your child, like how would you stand up for them? Because a lot of times, like I'm a mom, I know it's easier for me to stand up for my kids than it is for myself 100%. Like you do something to my kids, you do something to my kids, oh, Chatty's getting chatty, okay? But you do something to me, it takes a longer time for me to address it. A longer time. Because I'm worried about your feelings. I want to make sure you're okay. So I think it's really important to realize that self-care doesn't always look good. And it's important to really stand up for yourself and advocate for yourself and know what that looks like. Have you ever advocated for yourself? What does that look like? Think about those times. Reflect on those times. Analyze on those times. And get back to it. Right? If you're doing it consistently, that's amazing. Like that also builds your confidence. So let's see. We're going to get into some anonymous confessions before we close off the episode. I think we have a couple sections left. So I do have some anonymous confessions, and these are wellness confessions, okay? So The first confession is, I post gym selfies, but I cry in the bathroom after because I hate how I look. So you post your gym selfies, but you cry in the bathroom. I think a lot of people post online, but they don't really like how they look. That is a social media mental health issue. So you're definitely not alone on posting and not feeling good about yourself in real life. Okay, that's normal, which is so sad to say. And you said you really hate how you look. Well, fitness, the fact that you're in the gym means you're working on fitness, which means you are trying to work on whatever it is you feel about yourself. And I think give yourself some grace, right? I can share something about myself, which I know is like one of my biggest insecurities. And it is the way that I walk, right? It is the way that I walk. My knees are knocked. I got K-leg, whatever you call it, knocked knees. My knees are knocked. And I post all this content, you'll never see my knees, okay? And I literally used to say stuff like, I hate my knees, I hate my legs. I used to talk about when I was like younger, in my early 20s, I used to talk about wanting to have my kneecaps broken so that I could walk normally, like walk straight like my sisters, or straight like my friends or the people that I knew. That's how much I hated my legs. And then I started shifting my mindset. And what really, really works is, again, changing your mind, right? And changing our mind is probably the hardest thing that we ever have to do. Changing your mind is not easy, okay? It's a lot of work. And a lot of people choose not to do the work. But if you want to do the work, that looks like talking positive affirmations to those legs, or talking positive affirmation to that body, right? You said you hate how you look. Talk more positively to yourself. Write some sticky notes all around your house. Put an alarm on your phone to remind you of how beautiful you are. Start saying those things to yourself more often, right? Your mind will start to believe it. You will start to believe it. You will not feel comfortable over time saying that you hate how you look, right? Because there's always another side to the coin. You should be at least able to tap into the things that you're grateful about yourself. So look for those things that you do love about yourself and kind of tap into that and build on that, right? Don't focus so much on what you don't love about yourself. I still have these same knees, still got the K-leg knock knees, but you cannot tell me I'm not a baddie. And I would never say that before. I'll be like, oh yeah, I know I'm beautiful, but not the way I walk. The minute I see myself walking in a mirror, like it would kill my confidence. When I would see my reflection and see like, oh my God, that's how I look. Like it would absolutely kill my confidence. And I literally got over that. And I wouldn't say that I love my legs now. I think I'm an acceptance stage, because I accept my legs. Like my legs are taking me everywhere I need to go. I'm healthy, I'm strong, I'm able to do what I love. You know, there's nothing wrong with my legs. Like, so I would say give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. Start with those positive affirmations. Start with some more body positivity, and just showing love to the areas that you do love first, which would be easier, because if you love something about yourself, if there's nothing you love about yourself, then it's time to start being grateful for the fact that you're healthy, right? That you're strong, that you're able to be here, that you are resilient, right? And I just wish you the best of luck. The next one says, I preach self-love online, but I haven't showered in 3 days because I'm depressed. So you preach self-love online. This is so real. This is so real. And you're first of all, I appreciate you being honest. That's like the biggest thing here. I think the fact that you're still sharing love while you're going through something like that says a lot about you. That's beautiful. And know that you're not alone. Right? Know that you're not alone, and know that you can also get that same love, and give yourself those small wins. I think even if you're getting up and you're just brushing your teeth, even if you're just getting up and you make up your bed, whatever that small win is for the day, congratulate yourself for that and try again every single day. And you'll come up out of it. Like, I pray that you come up out of it, but make sure that you don't stay alone for too long in that feeling, and talk to somebody, right? Talk to somebody that you trust. But yeah, those small wins, such as getting up, just opening your eyes, getting up out of the bed, brushing your teeth, whatever it is that you chose to do for that day, making yourself something to eat, right? Those are considered wellness wins, right? So I'm proud of you for trying. And the fact that you even wrote that confession means that you want it to change. So I pray that changes for you. The last one is, sometimes I pretend to meditate, but I'm just scrolling on my phone. You just go. You said sometimes I pretend to meditate, but I'm just scrolling on my phone. Well, I mean, it's okay. Wellness, mindfulness, well-being, self-care, none of it is perfect. None of it looks perfect. It's okay. Like, I think whenever you're ready to start or wherever you're ready to start with it is fine. Don't pressure yourself so much. And even if you take one big deep breath, like that's the start, right? So give yourself grace and, you know, change the habit if that's something you want to do, right? It's something, again, that you have to push yourself to do. So I'm gonna wrap up this episode with a hey boo piece of advice, because you guys know I love my hey boo. Hey boo. If you guys are following me on TikTok and on Instagram, you will see that I have a series called Hey Boo. And it's basically a series that I created because I thought of how can I ensure that I'm helping those that feel they don't have anybody. Because like I said, a big theme on my live streams is a lot of people feeling that they're alone, not feeling like they have support, which is why they come to my live streams. So happy to have somebody who wants to listen or whatever that is they feel, right? And I think this series is really important because it helps people who don't feel like they have anybody to be able to go and tap in those videos and get a little piece of advice, get a little love, feel seen, feel heard, and just feel like you have somebody who's sending you that kind of video, or somebody who's just on the phone with you, somebody who's there. So today's Hey Boo piece of advice is, hey boo, wellness is not about the way that it looks. It's not about the perfection of it. Wellness is about how it feels. And even the smallest steps count as healing. And I think we kind of said that throughout this episode. Even the smallest steps that you take every day count towards your healing. They count towards your self-care. And I think it's important to not wait for what you think self-care should look like to be perfect, right? Whatever that feels good for you, whatever has you getting up every day feeling good and feeling recharged, that is self-care. I want to hear about some of the different self-care activities or wellness routines. Drop those down below in the comments. And I'm going to end the episode off here. This was awesome. Thank you so much. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, share, comment, everything in this video. Until the next video. Bye.